But first from Fox this Thursday night, our federal government is keeping track of every phone call we make. And developing tonight, word they're also secretly grabbing data from internet companies. Your web history, your emails, your pictures, we don't even know what else. This is brand new information said to be highly classified and never revealed until now. It even has a government code name, Prism. More on that in detail in just a moment. First, the phone call monitoring. Lawmakers say the feds have been doing it for years, but most of us learned about it today from the British newspaper The Guardian. It published a court order labeled top secret, and in that order is a requirement for Verizon to hand over records for every phone call in the United States, all of them. Information including phone numbers, lengths of calls, where you were, and when you made them. But no names, no addresses, no actual content of the call, they tell us. That means they're not allowed to record what you say. Supporters say this keeps us safe.
Within the last few years, this program was used to stop a terrorist attack in the United States. We know that.
Critics say this is an enormous invasion of privacy. And Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano said earlier today, this is a fishing expedition on the grandest scale we've ever seen in American history.
This is just a shortcut to make it easier for America's spies to spying on Americans. Shep, they spied on the West Wing. They spied on the Pentagon. They spied on the Supreme Court. They spied on the CIA. This is spies spying on spies. This is the most extraordinarily broad search warrant ever issued in the history of the federal courts of the United States.
That we know of. And remember, the document that The Guardian found only mentions Verizon. The paper did not uncover any court orders for any other carriers, didn't uncover them. But that does not mean they do not exist. Let's begin Team Fox coverage now. Ed Henry is traveling with the president. First, let's get to Catherine Herridge, who's our chief intelligence correspondent live in Washington. Where's the Attorney General on this, Catherine?
Well, Chef, during a previously scheduled hearing, Attorney General Eric Holder insisted Congress was never in the dark about the program, adding he can't say much publicly because it's so highly classified.
With all due respect, Senator, I don't think this is an appropriate setting for me to discuss that issue. I'd be more than glad to come back in an appropriate setting to discuss the issues that you have raised.
While not addressing the leaked documents, Verizon told employees if the company were to receive such an order, we would be required to comply. While neither Sprint nor AT&T would comment, the ACLU said the court order likely affects all of the major carriers.
There's every reason to believe that the government has similar orders for other telephone companies, and perhaps even more troublingly, that it has similar orders for internet companies.
Tonight, the Washington Post was first to report on a program called Prism, and we have now confirmed that beginning in 2007, the N.S.A. and FBI directly tapped into major internet companies, pulling audio, video, emails, and other documents that can map a person's universe of contact. Shep.
Wow, incredible. And though all this is brand new to us, even the phone call part, lawmakers say has been going on a long time.
Well, that's right. The Senate Intelligence Committee leadership, Democrat Dianne Feinstein and Republican Saxby Chambliss, confirmed to reporters the court order was apparently a reauthorization for a 7-year-old program. But what we don't know is whether the still classified program was recently expanded, though Democratic senators and the ACLU have complained the evidence suggests that's likely. Former N.S.A. employee who worked on classified data collection programs at that agency believes phone call recordings were also stored.
It's much easier to collect it and just store it somewhere and have it available, even if it's 6 months old or a year old or 2 years old or however many, to be able to have that data to look at to confirm my suspicions.
And the classified court order seems to conflict with public statements by the intelligence community.
Does the N.S.A. collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly. There are cases where they could inadvertently, perhaps, collect, but not wittingly.
And tonight, in an interview with the National Journal, Clapper stood by those March comments, saying he did not intend to mislead anyone, insisting the intelligence community does not randomly shift through the email of American citizens, though I'd note the senator asked specifically about data in general, not just email traffic. Shep.
Indeed he did. Catherine Herridge, thanks. And the White House said
The National Security Agency, known as the N.S.A, is apparently hooked right into the servers of your favorite websites. Take a look at this. We're talking about Facebook, YouTube, Google, Yahoo, AOL, Microsoft, Apple, Paltalk. Fox News can now confirm that the program started back in 2007, tracking data and emails, video, pictures, web searches, all of that.
Yeah, and the director of national intelligence calls the leak reprehensible, saying it could cause harm to our nation's intelligence gathering. Our chief White House correspondent, Ed Henry, is on the West Coast traveling with the president, San Jose, California, where the president wakes up there this morning. Is this a story the administration welcomes, given the series of other scandals that have been so public, Ed?
Well, the problem for them right now, Bill, is that this piles on a series of other government overreaches from the James Rosen case, other media leak investigations, the IRS scandal, abuse of power there. So this piles on and pulls the president away from his message this morning in San Jose about his health care reform law. But on the other hand, as you note, it can help the administration say, wait a second, this was started under the Bush administration. This is not essentially their program. They're continuing what the Republicans did. But wait a second, Republican James Sensenbrenner says he was one of the architects of the Patriot Act, and he says the intent of the law was to target specifically terrorists, not to have this wide sweep on the internet and phone records that could go after average Americans. Here's Congressman Sensenbrenner.
I would see nothing wrong with targeting the phone records of somebody who is suspected of terrorism. But everybody who either sent or received a call from a Verizon phone and maybe the other cell phone providers, that was never the intent of the business records section.
Now, Sensenbrenner also notes that some of these key provisions of the Patriot Act will be expiring soon, so this whole fiery debate right now that's going on around the country, according to Sensenbrenner, might lead to them making some reforms to the Patriot Act that maybe reins in the president's power.
This story wasn't even out there a few hours in Politico, the political website out of Washington. Already had a story on its website saying the White House welcomes this debate on privacy. Now what's the defense over this story, Ed?
Well, how they're trying to defend it is, number one, they say that they went to the so-called FISA court to get specific permission to move forward on some of this. So there's some oversight there, according to the administration. Number two, they say the key lawmakers on Capitol Hill are read in on this program. So again, they're claiming there's oversight here. And then finally, as we talked at the top, they're pointing out that this was something that started under the Bush administration. So they're sort of surprised inside the White House that there's shock that this is going on. Listen to Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid.
Right now, I think everyone should just calm down and understand this isn't anything that is brand new. It's been going on for some 7 years, and we've tried often to try to make it better, and we'll continue to do that.
True, the program started 7 years ago, but remember, around that time, leading up to the 2008 presidential campaign, then Senator Barack Obama was really hitting the Bush administration hard on executive power and saying a lot of this needed to be reined in. A second point I'll make is that after this event here in San Jose, the president's going to Palm Springs to meet with the Chinese president. At the top of the agenda there was supposed to be pressuring China over some of its cyber attacks. Now, all of a sudden, the backdrop of these meetings with the Chinese president will be the U.S.'s own surveillance programs, Bill.
Ed, thank you. Ed Henry in San Jose.
Analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. Harry Reid says, we should just calm down, Judge. This has been going on a long time. They've been able to stop some sort of terrorism, this, that, or the other thing. So just don't worry about it. Just relax, everybody.
See, the laws are really screwy here, Shep. The laws allow the executive branch, the president and his agents, to tell select members of Congress when they are doing things like that, but prohibits those members of Congress from telling the other members of Congress or the American people. Just because Harry Reid knew about this for 7 years and it's been going on for 7 years does not mean that it is constitutionally permissible. This is a fishing expedition on the grandest scale we've ever seen in American history. They are looking for a select group of people, and in order to find that select group of people, the Constitution says, present some evidence against them to a judge and you'll get a search warrant for their phones. Rather than doing that, they got a search warrant for 113 million phones.
That we know of.
That we know of. And they said to us, don't worry.
It's fine.
Trust us. We're not listening to the calls. We're just keeping records of them. Who would trust them after this? The Constitution doesn't trust them. As Catherine Harris just pointed out, they lied under oath, this administration, when they were asked under oath, are you collecting information about American citizens? And Admiral Clapper, who's the head of all this, said, no, we're not.
Listen to Lindsey Graham. Senator Lindsey Graham, listen.
I'm a Verizon customer. I don't mind Verizon turning over records to the government if the government's going to make sure that they try to match up a known terrorist phone with somebody in the United States.
But that's not what they're doing.
No,
they're looking into all of our. All we know about is Verizon. That's the 100 and something million. There are other phone companies out there. Their records haven't leaked. Who are we to think they didn't do this with all of them? Of course we're to think that.
The whole purpose of the Fourth Amendment is to prevent the government from doing just this. It's to prevent it from interfering with the privacy rights of innocent people, a lot of innocent people, in order to find a few that may be planning something wrong. Nobody wants the wrong thing to happen. But the idea that we would sacrifice liberty in order to obtain safety is a canard. This is just a shortcut to make it easier for America's spies to spying on Americans. Shep, they spied on the West Wing. They spied on the Pentagon. They spied on the Supreme Court. They spied on the CIA. This is spies spying on spies. This is the most extraordinarily broad search warrant ever issued in the history of the federal courts of the United States.
That we know of.
That we know of.
Under this logic, the government could send people to all of our homes, put them in a bed next to us, have them watch everything. Under this logic, they can do anything.
Under Senator Graham's logic, he'll be happy with it as long as they catch a few bad guys.
Yeah, well, we'll see how happy he is when he runs the next traffic light and the government agent sitting next to him goes, nope, you ran the traffic light. Here we go. Time to drone you.
Would it be easier for the government if the police could kick down any door they wanted
Sure.
and arrest any bad guy? Of course it would. But who would want to live in a society like that?
The slippery slope is covered in grease.
It is.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.